Whatever the system of government in existence, public infrastructure are built through the proceeds of taxes of individuals in that community or country. Whether people are satisfied with the level of infrastructure provided or not is a different issue. While discourse and attitude to public infrastructure in countries like the United Kingdom revolve around who should make key infrastructure decisions, in Nigeria, it is more of the attitude of the public to the infrastructure provided. With investigations showing a high rate of abandonment or neglect arising from a poor maintenance culture, commentators say there is cause for worry. The argument is that with times changing, driven basically by climatic variations, as well as reduced revenue in the face of competing national needs, any government or people focused on development must prioritize maintenance culture. This edition of Dateline 360 will look at the attitude of Nigerians to public infrastructure and the impact of neglect on development. This is Dateline 360. Welcome. I'm Hauwa Salihu Adama. The place to improve the world is first in one's own heart, head, and hands. That's a starting point on Dateline 360 this week. Thanks for rejoining us as we examine the attitude of the public to everything non-personal. Mia Ogidi puts this social challenge into perspective for us.
Why they use the bridge they cross instead of they cross through this line?
I don't want to make a good sharp. I don't think I come sharp.
The attitude of some people, sometimes they vandalize government property, and secondly, even when they are malfunctioning, they don't report to the government.
People are looking for what they will, they have to make money and feed their family and feed themselves. That is that.
Does it make any real sense if one says the attitude of some Nigerians underdevelop the country? Yes, it does. Ideally, public infrastructure such as roads, oil and gas facilities, street lights, road signboards, road medians, public waste bins, water pipes, parks, gardens, bridges, traffic lights, electricity cables and poles are expected to be guided by the citizens as they make life meaningful. But reverse seems to be the case in Nigeria, as these facilities are usually being vandalized or left to their own devices when they are either malfunctioning or falling apart. For instance, just of recent, an underground communication cable for the Abuja light rail project and electricity cables belonging to a distribution company in the Federal Capital Territory were vandalized.
Most of these vandals may have been doing this out of sheer wickedness.
In all of these unpatriotic acts, will bear the brunt.
It falls back to us, it affects us. Forgetting that the taxes we pay, what erects those public facilities.
For instance, Suleja, over 30 people were killed as a result of flooding. Why? Yeah, is it only now we realize that those drainage ought to be free? We ought to know that right from the onset. So these are some of the things, very little, but it matters.
It's very crucial that we ensure that once a citizen comes to report about an infrastructural problem, they should take immediate action.
Statistics from the Nigerian Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative (NEIT) reveals that from 2009 to 2011 alone, Nigeria and oil companies operating in the country lost a total of 1.737 trillion naira due to pipeline vandalism, and crude oil theft was estimated at millions of naira, while NNPC spent over $600 million to fortify security in oil and gas facilities across the country. On the power sector, 35% of our electricity generation is lost to the activities of vandals.
Because out of about 26 power plants, 23 are fired by gas. And with the continuous vandalization of pipelines, we are just not able to reach even our installed capacity. We're struggling with about 2,000, 2005, 500 megawatt, when we can actually be delivering 5,600 today.
While strengthening institutions such as the National Orientation Agency, NOA, and the security outfits like the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps to check such flagrant abuse of public facilities is a welcome development, respondents still proffer solutions to curb this menace.
Nigeria has come to a point whereby CCTV cameras should be at point.
Any individual that vandalizes public infrastructure or those who display nonchalant attitude towards them can be likened to individual who throws stone into the market square, because no one can tell who the victim might be. For instance, this road median has been removed by unpatriotic individual, and no one can tell the car that will run into it and probably get damaged, or the individual that will walk into it and getting himself accidented. Until we change this our negative perception towards public infrastructure, any negative action we take in this regard can take the government one step backward in its development agenda for the country. Mie Ogidi for Dateline 360.
True, but a sad reality, Mie. The question that has remained unanswered is how and when Nigerians got to this point. With Mia's narrative considered a national situation, we asked Mitaire Ikben to give us the situation report in the Federal Capital Territory, considered the model city for Nigeria.
The Abuja Light Rail is a project everyone expects to take off soon. It was, however, shocking when vandals dug out and stole several meters of already laid signal cables meant for rail communication around the Idu station. It was extra cost for the FCT Transport Secretariat to replace the vandalized rail communication cables. This is how bad disregard for public property is in Abuja. It is commonplace in the nation's capital to see installations of traffic and street lights vandalized by hoodlums, not minding whether the populace is thrown into darkness or traffic chaos as a result of their nefarious activities. The hoodlums are not deterred by repeated reinforcements of the signal control cubicles with burglary proofs by the FCT Transportation Secretariat, but break the locks and cut away the batteries and solar panels which power the lights. One of the street light batteries, we are told, goes for about 150,000 naira in the market.
We are feeling the pinch very badly. We have roughly 171 signalized intersections. Presently, more than 30 intersections are vandalized.
Other items prone to vandalism and destruction are surprisingly CCTV cameras along road corridors and bridge railings, which are reportedly used for making substandard spoons. These barricades, constructed by the FCT administration to compel residents to use the pedestrian bridges, is another example of public infrastructure being destroyed by miscreants. The destruction of the barbed wire barricades around pedestrian bridges encourage pedestrians to cross the expressway with attendant danger to life, as hit-and-run cases occur frequently along major expressways in the city. Perhaps the most vandalized public infrastructure in Abuja are manhole covers for drainages, which are removed at will along major expressways, increasing the risk of accidents for pedestrians and motorists. The trend continues despite the fact that Abuja is one of the most secured cities in the country.
I condemn that act. But also it's a lapse on the security, because this is a city center. They're supposed to monitor all these things.
They should give their contacts even to the traffic warders, so that if the traffic light has fault or any problem, any challenge, they'll be able to call them.
The street light helps you to see your next neighbor. So when you vandalize it, then the criminals will have easy access to vandalize.
We are the government, and destroying it is like wasting our own resources.
Vandalism of these street lights has become more rampant than before. So what we are doing now is we have increased our surveillance, and we are notifying residents and those who live around those areas to be on the lookout for suspicious activities of people.
At various fora, the FCT minister has stressed the need for members of the public to play a role in safeguarding critical infrastructure.
Government will put in the infrastructure and of course maintain the infrastructure from time to time. But guarding the infrastructure is the responsibility of every resident of Abuja.
An inquiry was made at the FCT call center to ascertain how often they are alerted by residents on threats to public infrastructure in their vicinities.
So far, people are calling, but not if you measure the vandalism that is happening with this infrastructure, the number of calls that we are getting is not okay. And every time we keep telling them, if you see anybody around the public infrastructure, call. I perceive nonchalant attitude from the public, not knowing that those public infrastructures are there to serve us.
Going by the spate of vandalism and destruction of public infrastructure in the nation's capital, there is advocacy that apart from the security agencies, residents too have a role to play in safeguarding public infrastructure by reporting suspicious activity around them to the security agencies. In Abuja, Mitaire Ikwen for Dateline 360.
Safeguarding public infrastructure sure is a collective responsibility, as the consequences of neglect, Mitaire, are indeed grave. That's the perspective Jennifer Igwe presents from Nigeria's commercial city, Lagos.
Drainage channels in many neighborhoods in Lagos State have very dingy looks. Caked and clogged with refuse of all sorts, the drainages have more or less become inappropriate and unplanned waste dumps. When a canal is well cleared and maintained, it looks this clean and water flows freely, especially flash flood when it rains, which discharges into the lagoon. Now, when we clog them with waste materials, this will not be possible. Two key parties, experts say, are to blame for this environmental menace and decay. One, indisciplined residents who dump their waste indiscriminately into drainages, and two, relevant authorities who are supposed to ensure the drainages function well and are adequately monitored.
We see somebody drink pure water, finish, they will drop it on top of the road. You say if they don't mess the road up, the sweepers, they will not say anything to sweep, and which is very bad. So when all this thing pile itself, you find out that when rain fall, it will not see anywhere to flow, and everything, all these things flow, the whole dirty things inside the gutter. Then that is how we experience the flood.
Governor can come out for us, come and clear all this canal. If we go to Abuja, all their water pass through canal to the lagoon. And we don't see any government officer come there, come and clear it for us. If they are CDA, chairman and others, they are trying. About letter, go to Hauwa to go and complain to them. But up today, we don't see anybody.
The Lagos State government insists that it has a structured process to ensure drainage channels are cleared.
Our drainages have not been cleared. That is not true. We clear these drainages massively. We have, His Excellency has even introduced another system. We call it retainership. Our cleaning of drainages now is now on retainership. It's not, what we used to do. Now, those people, they have their tippers, they have their everything. They desilt, they cut it away immediately.
How effective is the initiative of the Lagos State Ministry of Environment to keep the drains flowing?
Government don't try for this our area. Don't say, but people don't give the work, and then with the bad people. But almost 3 people now they don't sign this more work give. But at the end of the day, the work not done. No will cry, but government don't give them money.
The challenge posed by flooding is made worse by the poor state of some roads in Lagos. Well-maintained roads make life easy for road users, especially during the rainy season. Now, one thing that compounds the situation of most Lagosians, for instance, when it rains, is when the roads are not well maintained. Too many potholes do not make life easy for anyone. Traffic jam on Ahmadu Bello Way, Victoria Island after close of work. It is a build-up that intensifies from 4 in the evening and gets compounded as more workers hit the road. This portion of the road is the bane of the traffic challenge. Failed restoration of utility road cut by work carried out by some persons or organization is the genesis of the deplorable state of the road. Some drainage channels have over the years not been upgraded to meet the growing population of the state and increasing rainfall as a result of climate change. Experts say there is need for every sector of the nation to imbibe a strong maintenance culture. This, they say, would involve effective and adequate monitoring, including discipline on the part of the citizenry. In Lagos, Jennifer Igwe reporting for Dateline 360.
Well captured, Jennifer. The pictures speak for themselves on the need to redefine attitude to public facilities. Now, a popular saying goes that every problem has a solution, which starts with identifying the issue. To get to the root of this systemic failure, Cecil Egbele brings us the way forward.
Of course, Hauwa, it's unfortunate to know that many Nigerians lack infrastructural maintenance, social amenities, maintenance culture, and civic education. Just on my way here, I saw a young man dump refuse just beside the market. And when I frowned at it, the taximan said, "Where else do I want him to drop it?" I was really sad and disappointed. There are so many other instances of this that abound. Anyhow, I'm here to have a chat with the past chairman of the Nigerian Institute of Town Planners, Town Planner Nathaniel Abtebije. He's going to give us his opinion on this social problem. So, what's your opinion on the maintenance of public places and social infrastructures among Nigerians?
Well, the first thing is that Nigerians should decide to own the infrastructure, not seeing it as the business of government, not seeing it as everybody's business. We should individually believe that we are together owners of this infrastructure. Now, when we key into it as owners, then we can take care of it as our personal properties. Now, people have converted the structural components of the bridges into their, where they put posters, politicians, businessmen, and all manners. You go there, all of them are littered with posters. Very ugly to see. Now, I was in development control also at a point, and several times we had taken time to clean these things, but just as we are cleaning it, some other person comes in.
Nigeria and Nigerians need a reorientation. We need to see government, see ourselves as government, and not see government different from us. Everything that is done by the government is done by our money, the taxpayers' money. Government is the people, and we should take care of whatever the government has produced or provided for the people's comfort. Talk about the drainages you have. People pour rubbish into the drainages, not realizing that when those drainages are blocked, you create unnecessary dirt around. You create, apart from that place becomes filthy, uninteresting to look at. The flood is there, but you also create a good environment for all kinds of mosquitoes, all kinds of things to breathe in.
Change is not an event, it's a process. It's a gradual thing, and I subscribe to the view that it stands with me, it stands with you, to the extent that we cannot expect government to bring about change when we resist change, when we refuse to change our ways. There are certain little things that actually should begin with us. At the level of the family, for instance, parents should be able to tell their children, these are the correct behaviors, do that, don't do that. They should front on certain things. We should, as individuals, live by personal examples.
we're saying me and you, not the government right now, me and you. People can start by doing things right. Dumping refuse the right way, where it's supposed to be. There's a refuse dump right there, but they will dump it on the floor without putting it in where it's supposed to be. I don't know how else to say it. I don't know if, you know, what can be done, how we can get the people to do the right thing.
There are several ways of solving a problem. It's first admitting that there is a problem, and then identifying what the problem is, and finally making conscious efforts to solving the problem. Now, there are several ways to go around this. You can dangle the carrots, where you reward good characters and attitudes, or you want to hang the sword, where you set penalties, or better still, reorientation of individual mindset. I must also admit to you, Hauwa, that there are quite a number of Nigerians who respect public properties and public places. It all depends on the individual. Don't you agree, Hauwa?
Sure, Cecil, and that's why I took up the National Orientation Agency boss, Garba Abari, on what's been done to make more Nigerians conscious of their civic responsibility.
In fact, the agency, as recently as 3 weeks ago, had a reason to organize a one-day sensitization training for relevant government agencies and the personnel to sensitize them on the need for proper maintenance of government infrastructure. And the idea is to bring the message closer to everybody, that when you maintain government infrastructure, you are not actually protecting government property, you are also by extension protecting and maintaining your own property.
Okay, I understand the issue of going into collaboration with some other agencies, but we've had interactions with some individuals who have advocated using the carrots and the stick sometimes. And I'm wondering, we're talking about the people out there, the ordinary people. Do you have one-on-one interactions with them on the need to address some of these negative attitudes that could have negative consequences on livelihood?
The National Orientation Agency has many platforms through which it engages the citizens. Upon coming to office, one of the platforms that we have been using very effectively and which has impacted so much on what we have been doing at the grassroots level is what we call the Local Government Assembly. And the Local Government Assembly is actually a sensitization and advocacy program where we go to engage the people directly through formal and informal structures of governance. The final word is we have to, at individual levels, generally select police, check ourselves, ensure that we are law-abiding citizens. We are citizens whose conduct is exemplary.
Self-reflection and leadership by example, irrespective of age or status. It is said that the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. In other words, it's never too late to change one's attitude for the good of all. You can let us into your thoughts by clicking on our platforms, Dateline 360 at nta.ng or at NTA News Now. We appreciate your keeping this date. Many thanks and bye for now.